I made a recent video giving reasons why you may not want to pick up the Google Pixel Fold. In today's episode, I want to give you some reasons why you may want to pick up the Google Pixel Fold. With that said, let's go. One thing you'll definitely notice with this device, and that is that it does scream premium. From the moment you hold it, the hardware, the design, and it does feel really robust. And the other thing I like about it as well is that on the back here, it does have a matte finish, so it doesn't attract fingerprints. So again, really well put together product by Google, especially for their first attempt at a foldable device. One thing I would have liked to have seen, again, it's not a deal breaker by any means, is that camera visor there. Would have been nice if it stretched from end to end, like the regular Pixel devices. But nevertheless, yeah, this does feel fantastic in the hand. If you're thinking of picking up this device, one thing I would highly recommend, and that is to see if you can go down to a local store and hold the device in person. That way you'll get a better idea of what the device is like before purchasing. The other thing I like about this device is because of its compact nature, what it means is that it will sit into most pants, trouser and jacket pockets comfortably without sticking out at the back. So that's a real big appeal for me. Because of the aspect ratio on the Google Pixel Fold, what it means is that it is a joy to use this outer display. Meaning that whenever I am out and about, I use the outer display more than I use the internal display. And for me, that's what a foldable device should be like. So you should be able to use the outer display, and then when you feel like, you can open it and use that internal display. So basically a two-in-one device, especially when you're paying a lot of money for these devices. Now, this should not be underestimated, because when you have the likes of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold series here, because of this very narrow remote control aspect ratio, what it does do is force you to open the device. Now, when Samsung are developing this device, that's great because they're sitting in Samsung towers. But if they are someone like myself to test this device, go out and test it and report back, one of my findings would be that this outer screen is too narrow for a number of reasons, but more so what I don't like about it is that you are forced to open the device. Now, it is great if you're sitting at home, somewhere comfortable with friends or somewhere, that's not a problem. But from my testing, when I'm on public transportation, bus, train, tram, etc., I don't want to open it out like this and advertise to the world that, oh, I've got an expensive device. That just makes me feel uncomfortable. So that's why I'm not a fan of this Fold series. And I think that's where Google have leaped ahead of Samsung. They've seen that Samsung have not changed the outer display for, five years, and who knows what they'll come up with the sixth iteration. And they've just walked in through the back door while Samsung were asleep. The beauty of having the wider outer display on the Google Pixel Fold is that you make less typing errors. So if I pull up the keyboard on both devices, just bring them forward and look at that. The results are night and day. I make less typing errors on the Google Pixel Fold than on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 on the right here. And as a result, I just do not even use the outer display on the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3. The battery life on this device is pretty good, and it should last you all day with medium to heavy use, and that is without charging the device during the day. Now in my case, I'll use my Pixel Fold to shoot videos for the channel. I'll watch a lot of YouTube videos, listen to the radio, watch other content, and all of this while out and about. In addition to that, I will also use a stylus. That is correct. I found a basic stylus on Amazon, which I can use on the outer display. In addition to that, I can also use the stylus on the inner display. Now, what I will say is that this is a really basic stylus and it won't do all of the functions that you'll expect it to do. But again, this is great for me because I can certainly do some editing whilst I'm out and about with this device. Now, the one caveat with the battery on the Google Pixel Fold, and I'll be honest, it's the same for all other Google Pixel devices, is that the charging speed is pretty slow. And this also has wireless charging, and if you do use the wireless charging feature, it is capped at 7.5 watts. So just be mindful of that. Basically, do not let the device get too low in terms of the battery before you charge it again. Some people will argue that the Google Pixel Fold is a small device, and this is why I encourage you to go to your nearest store and hold it, see it in person, so you can be the better judge. But what I'm going to prove is that this is not a small device. For example, if I put it next to the Oppo Find N2 there, you can see that the Google Pixel Fold is bigger than the Oppo Find N2, and in terms of the width, the Google Pixel Fold is wider than the Oppo Find N2. Some people will argue that it is too short and it is too wide in terms of the width, but again, I'm going to disprove that, because here we have the Microsoft Surface Duo, and if I put them side by side there, now you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see that the width of the Surface Duo is much wider than the Google Pixel Fold, therefore making the Microsoft Surface Duo, I would say, a bit more uncomfortable to hold. Hence why I really like the form factor of the Pixel Fold, because it just feels really nice to hold. And in terms of the height there, so you can see that the Surface Duo is taller than the Pixel Fold. And then just for the video here, so again, there it is in person. So for me, the form factor on the Google Pixel Fold is excellent. If you're enjoying this video, then a subscribe to the channel below would be sensational, and it is free to do, as my analytics are showing less than 3% of you are subscribed to the channel. Just to illustrate my last point, so if I hold the Microsoft Surface Duo there, so you can see where my thumb comes up to there, so it's definitely wide. Now when I hold the Google Pixel Fold, oh my god, it feels like a big relief. Look at that, you can see even my thumb comes all the way, at least halfway onto the screen, and I got more grip there. So again, this for me is the perfect form factor. And as someone who owns numerous Google Pixel devices, the only caveat I would have with the cameras is that they do struggle in low light. Nevertheless, the device does take some amazing photos and videos, especially without computational processing. Rather than me tell you about it, let's look at some sample photos and videos. One of the nice things about having a foldable device is that you can use the rear-facing cameras to take a selfie, meaning you get better quality photos. So just to demonstrate that on the Google Pixel Fold, tap on the camera app, then select this option here. Definitely going to select the rear camera selfie, followed it on screen instructions, really simple. Switch screens now, and if I turn this round, and look at that. So we're now using the rear facing camera to take a selfie. So just take that there, smart, cheese, and it's as simple as that. And then if we want to revert back, just tap on this option here, back, and look at that. It's so simple. One reason why you may want to pick up this device, and that is for the form factor, and it's no secret that I love it, and it was definitely a contributing factor in picking up this device. Now, based on the rumor mill, the second iteration of this device is going to go through a design change. So it's going to look very similar to the OnePlus Open, where it is taller and the width is going to be less than this current version. And for me, that is sad news, because it's going to be the end of this passport style design. And as a result, it makes this current version a collector's item. So that's why I decided to invest in it. Now, the other thing to note with this device is that you will get software updates up until June 2026 and security patch updates up until June 2028. Now, I'm willing to bet that by the time you're watching this video, you're going to be getting 2 years or less of software updates. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth $1,800 plus tax for 2 years of software updates, even if the price drops to say $1,400 for 2 years of software updates? I'm not so sure. Now, this leads neatly onto my next point, which is, do you wait for the release of the Google Pixel Fold 2, which may retail at $1,900 plus tax for the base model, or do you hold out in the hope of picking up this current version at a cheaper price? Obviously, the other thing to note is that it will come with maybe around that time, maybe 18 months or less of software updates. But I want you to bear this in mind. It's more than likely that the Google Pixel Fold 2 will come with 7 years of software updates and 7 years of security patch updates. Now, that is something for you to think about. I would highly recommend going down the second-hand market to get your hands on this. So for example, I know that on Swapper they're retailing for around $800 for the, say, 256 gigabyte model in good condition. Hopefully, as time passes, the device will become cheaper. Now, I got this for a really fantastic price, and I made a video on it, so not to spoil it, you can check that out for yourself. For my next point, rather than sit in a warm studio and tell you all about it, I thought I'd brave the elements, come outside and show it to you. Probably something you've not even thought about, especially if you're thinking of picking up the device. So here I've got my props, which I usually carry around with me as a content creator. So I've got my tripod and stand, and of course I've got the Google Pixel Fold. So the point I want to make here is, despite the width of the device, you can see that it sits neatly into a bracket, and I can have this in this portrait mode or landscape mode. So again, probably something you've not even thought about. The nice thing with the Google Pixel Fold is that it does come with that stock clean vanilla Android software. And what that means is that you don't get duplication of apps which eat into the internal storage capacity of the device. And I think, if my memory serves me correct, this comes with about 18 gigabytes of system storage. So whether you have the 256 gigabyte model or the 512 gigabyte model, I think you're gonna have plenty of space left over. For example, take Samsung devices. They come with duplication such as Google Pay versus Samsung Pay. They also have the Google Play Store versus the Galaxy Store. And they also may have Google Photos versus the Samsung Photos. But with this device, that is not the case. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. My name is Sholo. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another episode. Peace.